Welcome to the Southern Mountain Kitchen. Today we're going to make easy puff pastry Halloween bats and cats. So what you see on my counter is what we're going to use to make this. You're going to need an egg, which we're going to use that for an egg wash. You have a little bit of sugar you're going to sprinkle on top of this. Puff pastry that someone else made. Thank you, because it's so much easier to use. You need some cookie cutters for this, and you don't have to do bats or cats or whatever. You can do whatever kind of a Halloween cutter you have. You have to have some Nutella. Now, I'm not using the real Nutella because GW can't afford it. But I got a cheap knockoff, and that's what I'm using because I'm not paying $6 to $7 a jar for this stuff. So anyway, take your egg, break it up into a bowl. Go ahead and mix this up like you're scrambling eggs, because like I said, we're going to use this for a wash later on. So go ahead and just get it mixed up now. We're going to set it to the side before we actually need it. And once we're done with this, we're going to actually open up the puff pastry. Which, the best thing about this puff pastry is it is not terribly expensive to get the kind that I use. And if you look at that company name right there, this stuff is really good. And it's so easy to use. And it's just a joy to have. And I got mine from Walmart, so I mean, it's really just easy to get. So we're going to roll this thing out, but try to leave the puff pastry onto the paper that it came with, because we just want to stretch this out on our counter. We don't want to go to the whole process of having to put out parchment paper just to pull off a parchment paper it already had. So once you get this completely laid out, we kind of want to see where the center is, going right down the middle of this. Now, it's not that hard to figure it out. I mean, I just eyeballed it and did it. But I'm going to make a line just so I know where about the center is. Because we're only going to put the Nutella on half of this. So, once we get it marked and we know what we're doing, get your lid off your Nutella, get something to spread it with, and we're going to spread half of this with it. And just work your way across it. This stuff is pretty easy to work with. I mean, it smears really well. And just go ahead and go all the way down near that line and all the way to one side until we get a decent amount of this on there. Now, the good thing about this is this Nutella is not going to be horrible to work with. When we fold this over and you're pressing a cookie cutter into this, it pretty much stays where it's supposed to. It's just one of these things, when you start to tear an edge, you might get a little bit seeping out of it. It's not really a big deal. So just go ahead and keep spreading this. We're going to use a decent amount of this. So that's why I got like a smaller jar, kind of like to the medium size. You can get smaller than what I got, but you know, the version that I got, which is the cheap knockoff, only cost me $1.25, and that worked because it tastes really good and it tastes like the real stuff, just at a fraction of the price. So go ahead and spread this across. Make sure you get all the way to the edge, because we want to make sure that there is this spread inside of the whole thing when we're cutting it. Because if you don't have it, all you're going to have is some puff pastry with no taste in the middle. So go ahead and mix this through. In the meantime, you want to preheat your oven to 425 degrees, because this is going to be in there anywhere from 12 to 15 minutes. And it's one of those things you need to watch. So if you get to 12 minutes, check it and see how much it's getting to the golden side of life, because we want it to be golden when it's done. But sometimes, you know, like in my oven, it took 15 minutes for it to do that. So you really just need to pay attention when you put it in. And you are going to need a pan with like some parchment paper over it to bake this on top of. So at least that way it's quick and easy cleanup. So once you get this completely spread out, then we are going to fold over the piece that doesn't have anything on it. And we're going to actually make sure this all lines up. So as you can see, there's a decent amount of this on here. But the best thing is, this tastes really good when it's baked up on the inside of the puff pastry. And on top of it, we're going to add a little bit of sugar anyway, just to give it a little bit of flavor. So once you get this completely done, like I said, we're going to fold over and just try to line it up as best you can with the other end without making a mess. So it should come right off of the paper easily. And just bring the two corners forward until you find the other two corners are there. And you can move that paper back out of the way once you do it. And once we get it like this, we're going to bring in our cookie cutters. Now, I bought some cheap plastic ones. They work just well. You just have to really push on them to get them through it. If you don't like the bats or you don't like the cats, you can do whatever. It's a joke in my house was that the bat symbol on this looks like a Batman symbol. So it kind of does look like Batman, but it's a bat. So anyway, so you just work your way through. Try to get these cuts as close to the one you did before it, so that way you don't really waste a lot of this. Now, the good thing about it is, when you have a bunch of this puff pastry left over that has the stuff on the inside, you literally can actually push this together and just bake it anyway and eat it just for the sake of, because it tastes really good regardless. It's the same flavor, it's just not as pretty. So it's just one of those things where if you want to not waste, bake it up. So one thing I learned when you're doing something like this cat, there's a lot of curves on it. It's just one of those things. You have to be careful and push down really hard to get the cutter all the way through so you can peel this off the edge as you're doing it. It's not really a problem. It's just one of those things. You just work your way around the edge and pull it off, and it will come loose. And then, as you can see, you get a cat. And once you get these done, we're going to put them on the baking pan that's lined with the parchment paper and brush them with our egg wash. And then just sprinkle a little bit of sugar on top of it, just to give it that little added edge of when you bite into the top, you get a little sweetness, because the Nutella flavored stuff really isn't sweet, not meant to be. So we're just going to give it a little something by adding a little sugar to it, just to give it a little something. We're not trying to make these super sweet or anything. We just want to make them decent tasting. So once you get all of these brushed really well and put a decent amount of the egg wash on them, just come through, grab a couple pinches of sugar and just go all over top of these. And then once they're done, like I said, 425 degrees, 12 to 15 minutes. Keep an eye on them after 12 minutes. We want to make sure that they bake up well. And when they come back, they're going to have this really golden brown quality to them. And they just look so neat, but they're really great to snack on. They have a great taste, and this is great if you're making them for a kid or whoever. But this is what mine look like, and they really were delicious, and they were a great thing to have, especially for Halloween. So I hope you enjoy them. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe. And if you get a chance, check out the Southern Mountain Kitchen website, where you can get a free recipe, check out the cookbooks available from the Southern Mountain Kitchen, and if you'd like to, you could order a cookbook at a discounted price, cheaper than Amazon, with shipping that is also cheaper than Amazon. So if you get a chance, check it out, and I hope you have a great day.